Greetings, Beth Warriors. Greetings. Greg is back. So are you. Another life lesson for the Results Kill Excuses channel. I'm your guide, teacher, mentor, spiritual activator, Greg. And today I'm celebrating life. I hope you're doing the same. I'm not big on all the titles, but I know that at the end of the day, for 14 years, I'm going on 14 years, I have chosen to do life on life's terms. And packed into that journey of sobriety, of soul searching, of trying to figure myself out from the inside out, much of what I have experienced and much of what I have transformed in my everyday waking experience called life has filtered through two things. Any guesses? What can I change? What can I not change? And it sounds simple, but it's not always easy. Because on the flip side of that, there's also two mindsets. And those two mindsets are, one mindset is you're being held back by your past, by your mistakes, or you're someone that has a vision, and you're someone that's living in the now and making the moves, which is ultimately putting in the time, the attention, the energy, and the action to change the things that you can change. But oftentimes it's the things we can't change in our past that literally will sideline us, will hijack your entire life. And the root of that is the energy and the emotional feelings of what? Guilt, shame, regret, grief. One thing I'm certain of is every person out there, for sure every person hearing this message, if you've heard this message, if you have come across this message, I'm grateful for that crossing of paths, but I know a lot of people, they hop in and hop out. They dabble a little, they listen a little bit to see what's being said, but the thing about this type of message is it's not just for entertainment, it's not just a one-way communication, it's not just me broadcasting something to the world. Because the other side of the broadcast is attracting in people far and wide that are ready to sit down with me, have this conversation, and start to explore themselves. I call it doing the work, the self-improvement work, the self-discovery work, the self-development work, the self-awareness work, the self-mastery work, leaving behind the self-sabotaging work, the self-medicating habits, the self-loathing, the self-abandonment. And in that, I believe that my greatest potential is to be someone that has the capability to spiritually awaken many, many people on this planet. And what does the spiritual awakening even mean? What is the spiritual awakening? What activates? Can we avoid a spiritual awakening for our whole entire existence? Probably. Probably. For me, the spiritual awakening is really a place in life where you start to see beyond the physical reality. I'm going to say that one more time for those of you in the back of the classroom. The spiritual awakening is the moment in time in your life when you begin to see beyond the physical reality. And for me, if I look back on my life, I feel I've had many, many moments of spiritual awakening. It's not just a one and done. The one and done shit is usually not sustainable. It's not usually going to actually get you to the final destination. I've had many waves of, it's sort of like if there's a veil over your eyes, and the veil, for many of us, the veil is this small screen, or for some of us it's a bigger screen. But there's a veil. And we're so focused on the physical. We're so focused on everything that's going on. And it's interesting because the focus can be very shallow. As I'm driving through this really beautiful place, if you can see behind me through the windows, the leaves are turning to golden yellow, the seasons are shifting. And it's like, I love to take in the beauty of nature, the birds flying, 2 doves just crossed overhead. That brings me so much joy. Listening to the sound of a river, a creek, the ocean, the sounds of nature, being immersed in it. I think it was last week where I went for a hike up a mountain to take in the fall colors, and I took it in so much that I did a forest bath. Have you ever taken a forest bath? Anybody know what a forest bath is? And it's something that if you don't have ample or abundant amount of nature, wilderness around you, you could actually do this in the middle of a park. But for some of us, it takes having the courage and the confidence to be seen, to allow for a stranger to see you, yes, you, kicking off your shoes and socks, laying down, spreading out your arms, breathing, smiling. Maybe you listen to a meditation, maybe you listen to some healing frequencies, but just taking in some nature, taking in the fullness of nature. But see, most of us, most of you that are probably listening to this, and you listen to it with a bit of guardedness, because this message is like a bright light shining into some shadowy parts of your soul, your life. Because in and of itself, this message is calling you to be a better version of you. It's calling you to tap into your true and authentic self. It's calling you to heal and process and release your grief and your trauma and your emotional wounds from your childhood that are still showing up to this day. It's calling you to find the courage and the strength to do life on life's terms, to maybe embrace sobriety for the first time. See what that looks like and feels like, and realize that that's probably the coolest, most powerful thing you could do. Because in not running to the vices and the substances and the distractions, you got to get gritty with yourself. You got to be willing to just sit there with yourself, to sit with yourself and experience what's going on. To really sit with the fear and the pain and the guilt and the shame and all those just real heavy emotions that are just beneath the surface for most of us. And yet we run to the sports, the entertainment, the video games, the shopping, the food, the chemicals, the social interactions. And in it, we're just looking for a way to distract ourselves from ourselves. And that's the core root of this message is, what is it going to take for you to have that spiritual awakening to where that veil begins to lift? And in one of those, it's funny because when the veil, right, if the veil was us not being able to see in the spirit, the invisible, the infinite at the soul level, energy level, at the energy level, right? This may be sounding woo-woo, and that's good. It should be woo-woo-y. There's many, many ways for you to test in your own way that what I am saying is true and authentic. And it's not just true for me, it's true for all of us, all beings. That we are infinite souls having a human experience. And this human experience, it's complex. Extremely complex. It's very deceiving in many ways. It's like we choose to deceive ourselves by going from being in the spiritual realm into the physical realm. And yet, how do you awaken and activate the merger and the alignment of the fullness of your body, meaning you are at the peak of optimal health and the physical presence of who you are, but in doing that you're also fully aligned and awakened with the divine presence of your being, the oneness, that infinite soul. And yet the distractions are so abundant. They're equally as abundant. To be distracted, to shut this off, to turn this off and to say, I don't want to hear this. Because why? Does it challenge you? Does it freak you out? Does it activate you? Does it trigger you? What does a message like this do to you? How do you really feel? I learned along the way that many trolls and people that kind of leave weird comments. And if you feel like leaving a weird comment, be my guest. But if you'd like to just introduce yourself and connect, that this message is somehow reaching you at a deeper level. It's so cool. I wish I could show you guys, but there's like a sunbeam coming down through the clouds right now ahead of me. And that's kind of how I feel, right? That I have this light. And when I shine that light, if you ever had anybody shine a light, a bright light in your eyes, it's like, it's annoying. It's like, stop, man, what the heck? And I think that's how some people feel when the light is shined. And the reason why the light, thus the darkness analogy, is so applicable to our experience here is because what most people are afraid to do is the shadow work, is the work that illuminates the parts of you that you're afraid of, that you're ashamed of, your mistakes, your flaws, your pain, your sadness. Why? Because the part that makes us very unique as humans is we keep a record of our experiences from the very, very, very beginning. It's one of the parts that is stitched into our existence, is that we keep a recording. And an analogy for that would be, if you've ever paid attention to when a plane crashes, commercial plane, jet, they have something called the black box. And the black box is embedded in the plane, and it's recording all the data. Everything that's happening on that vessel, it's recording it. And it doesn't miss anything. But yet, you can only access it once the crash has happened. You have to go and retrieve that black box and then hook it up to a machine, and then you're able to analyze and retrieve everything that was happening that can indicate why that plane crashed. All the systems are recorded in great detail. And we have a black box inside of us, and I believe that that black box is stored in the deepest, darkest part of our soul. And it's easy for us to be distracted. It's easy for us to just write it off as if it's even relevant. Why does this even matter? Someone may be asking. Maybe you're asking, why is any of this important? Why does this matter? He's wasting his time. He's wasting his energy. Talking about black boxes, talking about childhood trauma. Well, there was a version of me many, many, many moons ago, prior to hitting my rock bottom, that felt that same way. It was not open to really rehashing the past. Because of why? Because it's a sensitive subject. Why do we guard rehashing the past? I see it all the time. I still see it in interpersonal relationships. I hear it from people I coach and work with. I hear it from subscribers and BAMF warriors all around the world that take the time to comment or reach out to me privately, which any of you are open to doing. Greg at resultskillexcuses.com. Feel free anytime, drop me a line. I love hearing from others, other beautiful souls out there that are awakening to the reality of their existence. And yet, why is it so sensitive? Why are we so guarded? Why don't we want to deal with this? I've literally had people that I'm doing an initial consult to do one-on-one coaching with, and I know that we cannot get the success, and I cannot deliver on really helping facilitate true, long-lasting emotional healing and growth and expansion in this person if there's a condition, if they're not willing to go into that time machine and do that life review from the ground up, from 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 and beyond. And I've had a lot of people that have sat with me and said, well, I can't even remember my childhood. And I said, you can't remember it yet. But I can tell you that if your childhood is fuzzy, I'm sending my heart to you. I'm sending love to you. I'm sending courage and strength, empathy, compassion, comfort to you, because I believe that when you have those fuzzy memories, it was a way that, in my own experience, it was a way that I protected myself from the trauma that happened. And it took a real big dude. I haven't had a lot of male therapists, but I've had two. And one of them was this big guy, this real big dude. He was probably like 6'5", almost 300 pounds, just a massive guy. And he was getting deeper. He was drilling down into these uncomfortable, sensitive areas. And again, let's play back this video to why it makes sense. What can you change? What can't you change? I know that I can't change my past, but I know that I've learned that I can change how I process the past, how I feel about the past, what I believe about the past, and how the past shows up in my present life. I can change those things, which is very empowering. And that is ultimately what I wish and desire for you to get to a place of that level of healing, that level of self-actualization, of truly taking accountability of your life with full acceptance of being able to sit there. And yes, sometimes you need to have your hand held because of how scary and overwhelming and painful these things are that have happened to us in the past. And that's why I think you need the mental clarity, you need the sobriety, you need to just be able to have that confidence and that centeredness and that groundedness, and also the spirituality to connect with the divine, to connect with the Great Spirit, to know that it's not you alone. You don't have to do this alone. And yet, this burly of a man was sitting with me, and he was looking at me, and he was really starting to drill down on these uncomfortable, vulnerable places of my life. And I remember him looking at me, and he says, do you ever look at yourself in the mirror? And if I rewind the tape, at that time of my life, I didn't. I hated looking at myself. I had let myself go physically, right? I was sober, but I was really down on myself. And he said, he told me, he's like, you're an intimidating dude. And I'm like, what, really? This is silly, bro. Look how big you are. You're a big guy. He's like, nah, man, I don't think you realize how intimidating you are energetically, spiritually. Like, you walk into a room and it's like you carry authority. You carry an edge to your gaze and your countenance. And it was like, whoa, really? And he said, yeah, man. He's like, and it would really serve you to allow yourself permission to really figure out why. What pain have you hurt? What pain are you carrying around? And I was, again, the fuzzy memory. And as he started drilling down more and more, what he told me in, about a year worth of therapy was, it's evident to me that at some point along your life, you subconsciously trained yourself to stop retaining memories because of the pain. And how memory was associated with the pain, and thus you have these fuzzy gaps. And it was true. I would have, even just the most basic things, I would have people, that would be in my life, constantly reminding me about myself, reminding me about experiences that I had with them or others, and just always feeling like, whoa, I don't remember that. I don't remember that. And so I'm letting you know that if you have that fuzzy memory, that a lot of times I used to tell myself, man, I have a terrible memory. My memory sucks. There's something wrong with me. And again, that was a limiting belief. And he saw right through it. He said, no, you're protecting yourself because you're afraid of whatever happened back then. And the thing about the emotions is that when you peel back the layer that unlocks that memory, it's like, I wish you could avoid having to fully experience the same exact pain that you did when it happened. But see, that's healing. That's the emotional healing. It's different than a cut. It's different than a cold, which time heals those things. And I think a lot of people out there, and maybe this is the message you need to hear, is time will not heal your emotional wounds. It will not heal your emotional wounds. It'll dull it. It'll bury it deeper, and deeper down. And you'll have more and more layers of blurriness and other experiences. And especially if you're, living life with chemical dependency and even just being miserable and being negative and, wondering why your life sucks and why you feel like such a failure. And I'm here to tell you that, again, what can you change? What can't you change? Well, everything that I've just talked about is something that you can absolutely change, because guess what? I have changed those things about myself. I used to have fuzzy memories. I found the courage to go and ask other people that were a part of my life to tell me stories without judgment. And I wrote these things down and I meditated on these things and I was present with people, and it actually created some healing in that moment for someone to share something about my life's past. But yet it took courage, and yet I've had several clients along my path that they weren't willing to do it. When it came to figuring out what memories are being blocked, they weren't willing to go to the family members. They weren't willing to go to the friends because of the association of the pain, which is a really tough place to be, because that's an unforgiving heart. That's someone that's carrying around deep, deep bitterness and anger and hatred. And thus, where does that energy show up? It shows up in your body, in your life, and it's what's holding you back. And if you're someone that thinks you're ready for this, I highly recommend seeking out some professional medical help. But I also offer my services to do some one-on-one coaching, to do that hand-holding, to really be that compassionate witness, to hear and to hold the space for you to sit in the mud, these muddy experiences, these painful memories. And beyond that, if you're looking for really just something, an incredible resource to really get you down the path of journaling and writing things down and, reprogramming the negative thoughts into positive thoughts and really slaying the inner critic and, starting to process the negative emotions into, empowering experiences, while also starting to create goals for yourself. Again, because if you're somebody that's holding onto the past versus a vision for the future, you're going to continue to live in that broken record, that cycle. And it doesn't just go round and round, it's going down and down and down and down and down and down and down. And the beautiful thing is you can stop at any time. You can stop that vicious cycle, that downward spiral, and you can start to ascend and you can start to climb your way back up. And that's exactly what I did when I hit my rock bottom. I was done. I was broken. I was finished. I'm like, no more. I can't do this anymore. I can't. And I knew that it was 100% my responsibility, regardless of what anybody else had been a part of my life, regardless of what they had done or what they hadn't done or how they had showed up or how they didn't show up. I knew that it was just my responsibility to take extreme ownership of my life and to be able to have the courage to accept the things that I could not change, right? The strength to change the things I could, and then again, the wisdom to know the difference between the two. And that's a powerful thing, and I speak that over you right now. Will you give yourself permission to find the courage and the clarity? It takes clarity, it takes sobriety, it takes truly disconnecting from all the noise, from all the circuses, from the politics, the entertainment, the games, all the shit. For you to try and get as still and quiet, as I mentioned earlier. Maybe it's in the middle of a forest, maybe it's in the middle of a park or just an open space where there's an abundance of nature. Maybe it's in your own backyard. And to just start to sit with yourself. And if you're open to that, you know, what you do is you kick off your shoes and socks, right? You lay down there, you can hug a tree, but ultimately it's really helpful if you put your hands over your heart and just send yourself some love. Take some deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Just focus on your breath. Maybe mentally ask your mind to take a rest, to just let you be present. Let your thoughts soften. Let your body soften, your face soften, and just really send yourself some love. Maybe bless yourself if you've never blessed yourself. Bless your body, bless your health. We're used to blessing others, but maybe you need to bless yourself. Bless your work, bless your bank account, bless your family, bless your home, bless your body, bless your heart, bless your lungs, bless your mind, bless your eyes, bless your ears, bless your mouth, bless your hands, bless your feet, bless your legs, bless your chest, bless your stomach. Ask yourself, what can you change? What can you not change? You can change your feelings about your past. You can't change what happened, but you can change just about everything else that shows up in your life about what happened. Your feelings about it, how it's affecting your life. And at the end of the day, the more clarity, the more honesty, the more authenticity that you have with yourself, right, the greater you set yourself up for success in this life. If you're interested in an incredible resource, the 1% Better Everyday Journal product is right there. Volume 1 is ready to go. Volume 2 is ready to ship, and I'm completing the masterclass video portion of the journal, and that's probably what I've heard from many people that have pulled the trigger on the 1% Better Everyday Journal, is that the greatest value is in the videos, but it is a time investment. And the cool thing about the videos is you can listen to them at any time, but they're great lessons. It's me teaching you and showing you the process of how to get to a place of what's called self-mastery from self-sabotage. How do you get there? How do you climb your way back up from going down and down and down and down and down? How do you climb your way back up? How do you get to that level of self-awareness into self-mastery? Join me on this journey. Thank you for those of you that have been tuning in, tapping in, and doing the work. And if you're someone that's new here, subscribe to the channel, share this message. You may know somebody that needs to hear this. And I appreciate all of you. I'll see you on the next one. I love you guys. Have a beautiful day of life. Go make some time to be out in nature. Doesn't matter the weather. Make some time for you, to see you, to be with you, immersed in nature. I love you guys. Catch you on the next one. You know the drill. Results kill excuses, because if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it. Greg's out.